Gora Haribo, 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 Nitya Gora Haribo, Nitya Gora Haribo, 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 Nitya Gora Haribo. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jannavallabha Vivaradari Jaya Jannavallabha Vivaradari Shuddhananda Vrijjana Ranjana Shuddhananda Vrijjana Ranjana Yamurtira Vanajari
Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam Thai Gaur Continuing readings from Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th Canto, Chapter 18, Text 27 through 28. We'll go through text 30. Iti bhavein sabhartur. Excuse me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Iti bhavein sabhartur. Achachara sakrit priyam Shushusayun ragina Prashrayena damenaja Iti bhavin sabartur Achachara sakrit priyam Shushayan ragina Thus, Avena, with the intention, Sa, she, Partu, of the husband, Achara, performed, Asakrit, constantly, Priyam, pleasing activities, Shushraya, with service, Anuragina, with love, Prashrayena, with humility, Dhamena, with self-control, Cha, also. I'll chant text 28 also because it's here. Bhaktya paramaya rajan manogyar valgubhashnitai manojagraha bhavagya sasmita pangavishkanai. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: thinking in this way, with the desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kashyapa by her pleasing behavior. O King, Diti always carried out Kashyapa's orders very faithfully as he desired. With service, love, humility, and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, with smiles and glances at him, Diti attracted his mind and brought it under her control. Report: when a woman wants to endear herself to her husband and make him very faithful, she must try to please him in all respects. When the husband is pleased with his wife can receive all necessities, ornaments, and full satisfaction for her senses. Herein this is indicated by the behavior of Diti. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasinubhya Evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Translation repeated. Thinking in this way, desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kashyapa by her pleasing behavior. O King, Diti always carried out Kashyapa's orders very faithfully, as he desired, with service, love, humility, and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, and with smiles and glances at him, Diti attracted his mind and brought it under her control. Hare Krishna. So, we're hearing a very interesting pastime here. Diti has a strong desire to beget a child who can kill Lord Indra. And on account of that, she's endeavoring to satisfy her husband very nicely, but with a secret motive. So, I think we'll go through these other texts also. Text 29. Translation. Although Kashyapa Muni was a learned scholar, he was captivated by Diti's artificial behavior, which brought him under her control. Therefore he assured his wife that he would fulfill her desires. Such a promise by husband is not at all astonishing. Text 30. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of the living entities of the universe, saw that all the living entities were unattached. To increase population, he then created woman from the better half of man's body, for a woman's behavior carries away a man's mind. Purport. This entire universe is going on under the spell of sexual attachment, which was created by Lord Brahma to increase the population of the entire universe, not only in human society, but also in other species. As stated by Rishabdev in the 5th canto, Pumshastriyat Tunarpavam Itam. The entire world is going on under the spell of sexual attraction and desire between man and woman. When man and woman unite, the hard knot of this attraction becomes increasingly tight, and thus a man is implicated in the materialistic way of life. This is the illusion of the material world. This illusion acted upon Kashyapa Muni, although he was very learned and advanced in spiritual knowledge. As stated in the Manu Samhita in Srimad Bhagavatam, Balavan Indriya Gramo Vidvam Sham Api Karshati. A man should not associate with a woman in a solitary place, not even with his mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they lead astray even a person advanced in knowledge. When a man remains in a solitary place with a woman, his sexual desires undoubtedly increase. Therefore, the words ekanta bhutani, which are used here, indicate that to avoid sexual desires, one should avoid the company of women as far as possible. Sexual desire is so powerful that one is saturated with it even if he stays in a solitary place with any woman, even his mother, sister, or daughter. So again, we're hearing these particular dangers that arise due to the bodily conception of life. That this sexual desire is so powerful that one is saturated with it even if he stays in a solitary place with any woman, even his mother, sister, or daughter. So our mind is very much our friend or our enemy. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. And for the soul who has his mind under control, the mind is the best friend. It will help lead him to self-realization. But the uncontrolled mind actually is his worst enemy. And this is a risk that all of us are dealing with, and it manifests on very subtle levels. So there's this nice verse in Bhagavad Gita that is describing the glory of control of the senses, how one can achieve the mercy of the Lord. Prasadam adhikachati. That means one can achieve the Lord's mercy. Do you remember that verse? The first line. Ragadvesha vimuktaisthu. Ragadvesha vimuktaisthu. Vishayan indriyascharan. Atma vishaya vidyayadma prasadam adhikachati. That one who's free from attachment and aversion and who can control their senses, but through self-control, can achieve the complete mercy of the Lord. And this is our goal, actually, to achieve the mercy of the Lord. So how do we achieve the mercy of the Lord? We have to practice controlling the senses. Sometimes we understand that through bhakti everything will come, but bhakti is a cultivation. So we always have the opportunity to cultivate, to try to implement control of the senses. Control of the senses is so essential because we know that this lust has these different sitting places: mind, intelligence, and the senses. So if the senses, to the degree the senses are uncontrolled, to that degree the mind, the intelligence is bewildered, is lusty. To the degree that we control our senses, to that degree our mind and our lust comes under control. So this is why the process that we're following is very encouraging of control of senses, living austerely, living simply, because as soon as we give the senses some room for enjoyment, the desire for that enjoyment increases. It's not that I can just take a little bit and be satisfied. We know the nature of lust. It's like a burning fire. The more fuel you supply, the more it burns brighter. So this is the situation. However, one who is able to control their senses through the regulative principles of freedom. So that means in ISKCON that the devotees very carefully, very staunchly adhere to the four regulative principles. It may seem like a basic or elementary point, but we see in history that if we don't follow those principles very staunchly, then even the slightest deviation can result in havoc. And we don't want to experiment with that. We accept that as given by the acharyas. One time His Holiness Radhanath Swami said, it's better to die than to break one's vows. And that's quite strong, but because he said it, we can repeat it. The point is that we have to be very careful. The devotee is always on guard, and he knows that that he will be tested. That Maya is the shadow of Krishna. So if we're in the light with Krishna, then we're protected. But Maya is right there. It's not that we have to. Prabhupada says you don't have to call Maya. Right? She's already there. It's not like, okay, I'm stopped thinking about Krishna and doing devotional service. I wonder when Maya's going to be here. No, she's already there. She's already captured us. So the more and more we advance, the more and more we have to pass deeper and deeper tests. And primarily for what's being described here, and for a male audience, that comes generally in the form of the opposite sex. So there's some really nice verses in this regard that I just felt inspired to share. This comes in the second canto, really amazing, one of the most amazing purports I've ever read. Yeah, it's in the 6th chapter, text 20. It says, the spiritual world, which consists of 3/4 of the Lord's energy, is situated beyond this material world, and it is especially meant for those who will never be reborn. Others who are attached to family life and do not strictly follow celibacy vows must live within the 3 material worlds. Report. The climax of the system of Varnashram Dharma, or Sanatana Dharma, is clearly expressed here in this particular verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. The highest benefit that can be awarded to a human being is to train him to be detached from sex life, particularly because it is only due to sex indulgence that the conditioned soul of material existence continues birth after birth. Human civilization in which there is no control of sex life is a fourth-class civilization, because in such an atmosphere there is no liberation of the soul encaged in the material body. So this is the mode of ignorance, that thinking something is so great, right, this activity, but actually it's the very cause of one's bondage. It's the very cause of material existence. Yet the whole world is thinking this is the best thing. So this is the mode of ignorance. You think something is good, actually it's bad. So this is the epitome of that. It's actually the cause of material existence. Birth, death, old age, and disease are related to the material body, and they have nothing to do with the spirit soul. But as long as a bodily attachment for sensual enjoyment is encouraged, the individual spirit soul is forced to continue the repetition of birth and death on account of the material body, which is compared to garments subjected to the law of deterioration. In order to award the highest benefit of human life, the Varnashram system trains the follower to adopt the vow of celibacy, beginning from the order of Brahmachari. The Brahmachari life is for students who are educated to follow strictly the vow of celibacy. Youngsters who have had no taste of sex life can easily follow the vow of celibacy, and once fixed in the principle of such a life, one can very easily continue to the highest perfectional stage, attaining the kingdom of the three-fourths energy of the Lord. It is already explained that in the cosmos of three-fourths energy of the Lord there is neither death nor fear, and one is full of the blissful life of happiness and knowledge. A householder attached to family life can easily give up such a life of sex indulgence if he has been trained in the principles of the life of a brahmachari. A householder is recommended to quit home at the end of 50 years and live a life in the forest. Then, being fully detached from family affection, he may accept the order of renunciation as a sannyasi, fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Any form of religious principles in which the followers are trained to pursue the vow of celibacy is good for the human being, because only those who are trained in that way can end the miserable life of material existence. The principles of nirvana, as recommended by Lord Buddha, are also meant for ending the miserable life of material existence. And this process in the highest degree is recommended here in Srimad Bhagavatam, with clear perception of the ideal perfection, although basically there is no difference between the process of Buddhists, Shankarites, and Vaishnavites. For promotion to the highest status of perfection, namely freedom from birth and death, anxiety and fearlessness, not one of these processes allows the follower to break the vow of celibacy. The householders and persons who have deliberately broken the vow of celibacy cannot enter the kingdom of deathlessness. The pious householders of the fallen yogis or the fallen transcendentalists can be promoted to the higher planets within the material world, 1/4 of the energy of the Lord, but they will fail to enter the kingdom of deathlessness. Abrihadvratas are those who have broken the vow of celibacy. The Vanaprasthas are those retired from family life, and the sannyasis, or renounced persons, cannot break the vow of celibacy if they want success in the process. The brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis do not intend to take rebirth, nor are they meant for secretly indulging in sex life. Such a fall down by the spiritualist may be compensated by another chance for human life in good families of learned Brahmins or rich merchants for another term of elevation. But the best thing is to attain the highest perfection of deathlessness as soon as the human form of life is attained. Otherwise, the whole policy of human life will prove to be a total failure. Lord Chaitanya was very strict in advising his followers in the matter of celibacy. For a transcendentalist, therefore, who at all wants to be promoted to the kingdom beyond material miseries, it is worse than suicide to deliberately indulge in sex life, especially in the renounced order of life. Sex life in the renounced order of life is the most perverted form of religious life. Such a misguided person can be saved only saved if by chance he meets a pure devotee. So the point of celibacy is a very nice topic. I know sometimes Danavir Maharaj gives classes and seminars, but when we speak of purity as the force, it's based on this principle actually, that preventing the senses from enjoying the sense objects in the mood of enjoyment, of which sex is the chief. So it's very difficult in this day and age, of course, to strive to follow such principles. But the idea is that through training and through determination, actually, by getting a higher taste, it's possible. It happens concomitantly. That when one increases their taste for bhakti, for Krishna, that naturally the desire for lust goes down. Prabhupada said, this is how you can check your advancement. Some people wonder, how do I know if I'm making progress? Well, it depends how much lust is there. If there's lust, or there's freedom from lust, that indicates the level of advancement. So Prabhupada said this is how we can monitor our making advancement. So this point is very important because in Kali Yuga, in our day and age, it's such a disastrous situation. Prabhupada calls it a fourth class. He says that people they're so low class that they avoid even common decency of, in the name of love, they engage in all things, even in open public, which according to the Vedic culture is totally, you don't do that. But nowadays it's such a common affair. And it's based on the misconceptions. This is a real nice quote by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. It says, the idea that we can achieve happiness through the enjoyment of our senses, especially through the prototype of all pleasure, sex and sexual love, is an illusion which is perhaps the most deeply rooted and pervasive of all human convictions. Right? Because Prabhupada says, the whole material creation is moving under this principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point of all activities. So that's why he's saying this is the most deeply rooted. Is an illusion which is perhaps the most deeply rooted and pervasive of all human convictions. With the disintegration of traditional religions and the official establishment of secular philosophies, this illusion has gained the force of obsession. Therefore we see you can't even drive down the road without being bombarded with some type of, perverted advertisement. And they're taking advantage of this lower nature to make money, this material civilization. The greatest myth in human society is that sex is the cause of happiness, and that by adjusting or increasing one's sex life one can find happiness. Factually, the opposite is true. The more one becomes involved in sex, the more he becomes entangled by the complexities of the actions and reactions of material life. This ultimately leads the unrestricted enjoyer to take birth in the animal kingdom, where he is awarded improved facilities to carry on with his sexual activities and with minimal restrictions. Birth after birth, he can enjoy 8,400,000 varieties of sex to his heart's content. He will also experience varieties of birth, death, old age, and disease, and he will never be happy. The much advertised pleasure of sex is more fantasized about than real. People assume it will bring them pleasure, but actually gives far less sensual gratification than was imagined in the mind. In the long run, it brings much more trouble than enjoyment. So this is kind of like a brahmachari class, if it's okay. I apologize. But it's important because Jai's not here now. He used to really lay down the law. So it's a training. And that training, as we mentioned, is cultivation. We need to understand the philosophy, the dangers, the risks, and then we mold our lives in that direction. Some of these points are also taken from this one is Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, who's written a really nice manual, Brahmachari. He says the eyes have a tendency to stray towards women, but this should be given up. When a man looks at a woman, then Cupid, standing nearby with his flower bow, immediately shoots an arrow called mohan, meaning infatuation, which causes the man to be fascinated by the female form. Sometimes, Anyway, we'll hear about these other arrows. After this preliminary bewilderment, Cupid sends a further 4 arrows, namely Stambhanda, which stuns the man and causes him to forget all else. So we have experience of this. Unmada, which causes him to be as if intoxicated. The next one, which causes intense attraction. And the next tapan, which deeply pierces the heart and causes it to burn. So he's saying that, okay, there's a certain exchange going on. Physiologically, things are happening. So what's the solution? Then don't engage in that type of, he says, don't let the eyes stray in that direction. It's very, when we're around objects of sense enjoyment, they sometimes say, transcendentalists, they live alone, they live in some ashrams, very solitary places. Why is that? Well, it's because it's natural. The senses, if you're amidst a whole, imagine you've been starving for a week and you enter a whole room full of the most amazing food. You're not going to be able to control yourself. So then naturally, he's saying here, there's a simple way. And don't let the senses wander. You control the senses, then you can be free from that. Now we're going to get into the solution actually, because there's so many points. I mean, I could just spend hours literally reading so many nice verses from the Bhagavatam about this, but we want to know what's the solution. So the solution, as we mentioned, is getting the higher taste. It is stated, this is a verse also from the 3rd canto, it is stated that the charming eyebrows of the Lord are so fascinating that they cause one to forget the charms of sense attraction. The conditioned souls are shackled to material existence because they're captivated by the charms of sense gratification, especially sex life. The sex god is called Makaratwaj. The charming brows of the Supreme Personality of Godhead protect the sages and devotees from being charmed by material lust and sex attraction. Yamunacharya, great Acharya, said that ever since he has seen the charming pastimes of the Lord, the charms of sex life had become abominable for him, and the mere thought of sex enjoyment would cause him to spit and turn his face. Thus, if anyone wants to be aloof from sex attraction, he must see the charming smile and fascinating eyebrows of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then that's the protection, is meditation on Krishna. Here's one more nice description here. Okay. So it's indicating that actually what we know that Janma Dasya Yata, whatever we see here exists in the absolute truth. So why is there some attraction or desire? This is explained that when the Lord creates, when the Lord wants to be attracted, He creates such a woman from His own energy. That woman is Radharani. It is explained by the Goswamis that Radharani is the manifestation of the pleasure potency. The Supreme Lord wants to drive transcendental pleasure. He has to create a woman from His internal potency. Thus, the tendency to be attracted by womanly beauty is natural because it exists in the spiritual world. The material world is reflected pervertedly. Therefore, there are so many inebrities. Instead of being attracted by material beauty, if one is accustomed to be attracted by the beauty of Radha and Krishna, then the statement of Bhagavad Gita 2:59 holds true. When one is attracted by the transcendental beauty of Radha and Krishna, he is no longer attracted by material feminine beauty. That is the special significance of Radha-Krishna worship. So these are some nice contemplations. And this is really the root of attachment and bondage, is male, female, or the object of one's sex desire, because it's based on the principle of I am the Lord of all I survey, and that attempt to enjoy matter. So understanding that, then one is able to understand that whole psychology, that it seems very innocent, it seems very natural, but actually it's the cause of bondage. For many, many lifetimes, the soul is continually caught up by this attraction, by family life, by the desire for some type of nice situation in the material world, although the material world is not the home of the living entity. We heard this Tripad Vibhuti, the spiritual world, the 3/4 portion. But that's the real whole of the living entity. So if one's not determined, then one remains in this other section of existence to try to enjoy this relationship. And also then, for a clarification point, that also we know Shastras generally, traditionally was given to a male audience, so how does it operate for women? It says a living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the form of a woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets. So just as for the man, the female, so similar to the female, she's thinking of the husband, oh, he'll provide me and take care of me like this. A woman therefore should consider her husband, her house, and her children to be the arrangement of the external energy of the Lord for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. So like that, the conception of some type of material situation of happiness, making the material world work out nicely, that's the cause of being entrapped here by the hunter. And here, Kashyapa Muni, he's coming under the sway of his wife, Diti, who's bringing his mind under control. And later on he'll curse himself and really get hard on himself for coming under this spell. And so this is just kind of an explanation of this last translation we read. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of living entities, saw that all living entities were unattached. To increase population, he then created woman from the better half of man's body, for woman's behavior carries away man's mind. So this is a tactic of Maya, to actually produce progeny, to have material existence. So we are to become free from that with the mercy. So to get the mercy, then, we describe we can meditate on the Lord's form, and also a sincere prayer, at times when we are tested, taking shelter. Prabhupada would always say, whenever we feel that, desire anything, that we pray to the mercy of the Lord. And you mentioned Haridas Thakur was such a great example. We very desperately pray to them to protect us. And like that, if that's our mood, then Krishna will protect us. So today's also a super auspicious day. It's the appearance day of Narottam Das Thakur. So we may indulge in some real nectar here, with your permission, of some Gaur Leela. And it's related also to the topic. So this is from Prema Vilas, which is an incredible book. And we're going to describe here a little bit about Narottam, because he's such an important acharya. And we don't spend so much time. His birth is incredible. The description of his birth, you can read that in your own time. We'll hear a description. Narottam Das leaves home and travels to Vrindavan. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya and all the devotees of Lord Gauranga. All glories to Sri Vasacharya, the shelter of the mellows of devotional service. All glories to Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda, and Ramachandra Kaviraj. Just after Narottam's birth, his father invited all the musicians to his house, and together they celebrated for 8 days. Hundreds of brahmanas from surrounding villages also came to chant Vedic hymns for the child's well-being. 6 months passed swiftly, and his parents celebrated their son's grain-eating ceremony on an auspicious day. Besides the child receiving his first grains, Majumdar sumptuously fed many Brahmins and relatives when they awarded them charity according to their status. When the king heard about the wonderful child, he congratulated Narottam's parents and sent gifts of gold and silver, which Narayani happily used to decorate her son. At the age of 5, Narottam's ears were pierced in a ceremony, and he began his education. He soon became a brilliant student, in time studying all available books. As the years passed, his parents were increasingly delighted both to see their son's brilliance and his charming beauty. When Narottam Das was 12 years old, his parents began to think about his marriage. They invited an experienced matchmaker to their home and requested him to find their son a suitable bride. When Narottam Das heard of this, however, he became frightened and decided to leave home. So that was the connection. That night, he dreamed of Lord Nityananda, smiling sweetly at him and saying, "Narottam Das, you are living free from anxiety, forgetful of your eternal identity. If you get married, you will fall into a great calamity. Go quickly to the Padmavati river, and there you will attain everything." So, Narottam Das immediately rose, astonished by his dreams, and started for the river without informing anyone. As he walked, he felt joyful and began to chant Lord Hari's holy names. When he arrived, he offered obeisances to the holy river, and chanting the name of Gauranga, entered the water to bathe. As soon as he entered the river, Padmavati was overcome with ecstasy, and her water began to swell in all directions. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had ordered her to deliver love of God to whoever's touch made her feel this way, Padmavati humbly said, "Dear Narottam Das, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left a reservoir of love of God here especially for you. Please take it from me." The Lord left this love of God here just before he traveled on to Nilachala. "This wealth belongs to you. Take it, because I cannot bear the burden of holding it any longer. Ecstatic love of God has made me greatly agitated. Take this love and distribute it everywhere." Narottam Das did not know what he would do with the love, but he extended his palms to receive it. Padmavati asked, "Where will you keep it, O great soul? If you drink this love, you will become intoxicated." Nevertheless, Padmavati gave Narottam Das the reservoir of love of God, and Narottam drank it to his full satisfaction. As soon as he drank that water, however, his entire body was transformed, and he took on a golden hue. He began to laugh, cry, and dance in ecstasy. In the meantime, Narottam Das's parents awoke and saw that their son was not in his room. Soon they learned that he was standing by the Padmavati river. In haste they went to find him, but became even more disturbed to see that he was not there. Instead, there was a person of golden hue standing by the river. His parents could not recognize their son. Narottam's mother cried pathetically, overwhelmed with grief at what she thought was the loss of her son. But Narottam Das was unaware of his parents' presence, so absorbed was he in ecstatic love for Krishna. His condition was like that of a mad person. He jumped, danced, and ran around. The hair of his body stood on end, and he repeatedly exclaimed, "Gauranga!" Eventually, Narayani's pathetic crying pierced his mind, and Narottam Das realized that his parents had arrived on the riverbank. Narottam approached his mother and asked why she was crying, as if she had lost him. "I'm standing right in front of you. Don't you recognize me?" "Oh, Naru, my dear child, you are the support of a blind person like me. Let's go home." Narottam Das's mother embraced him with affection and repeatedly kissed him. "Dear child, how could I live without seeing you? I did not recognize you because your complexion has changed. You are now so much sweeter and more attractive. It is such a pleasure to behold you." No? You can't follow? Too quick? Oh, we got a lot to cover. It's too slow, Prabhu? He said it's okay. When Narottam Das and his parents went home, Narottam Das danced all the way, and his parents cried in ecstasy just to watch him. Narottam manifested so many ecstatic symptoms that his parents were worried about him. They tried their best to pacify him, but to no avail. Narottam repeatedly lost external consciousness, sometimes falling to the ground and sometimes running here and there. Because her son remained in such a condition, Narayani forbade him to leave the house alone, and in the end she confined him to his room. To confine him filled his parents' hearts with grief, and they struggled to know how to help their son. Immersed in Gauranga Prema, Narottam Das continued to express intense feelings of separation and could not be calmed. He said, "Oh Lord Chaitanya, I am dying due to separation from you. To whom can I explain my distress? Who would believe me? I can no longer stay at home. I must leave this place." Finally, Narayani went to Narottam and caught hold of his hands. "Dear child, please explain your problem to me. Why are you crying so much? Let me die, because I cannot tolerate your pathetic condition." Narottam Das said, "My dear mother, please do not lament for me. I am fine. Please bring me something to eat. I will tell you everything later." After Narottam Das finished eating, he sat down with his parents and said, "I am facing a great dilemma, and I do not know what to do. A golden-complexioned child has entered my heart. Since that time I have become like this. I cannot stay here any longer. I must go to Vrindavan. Please do not try to keep me here." Narottam Das was overwhelmed with love of God as he spoke. Tears flowed from his eyes, and his entire body was soaked with tears. His mother lamented, "My child went alone to the Padmavati river and came back a different person. He is now haunted by a golden celestial being. Let us bring an exorcist to cure him." Narottam's father agreed and summoned an exorcist. The exorcist then examined Narottam thoughtfully and concluded, "He has been possessed by a demigod. He is also suffering from a gastric disorder. To cure him, you'll need a medicine made from a jackal's brain. Find a jackal, kill it, and we will make the medicine from its brain. Only then will your son regain his former beauty and valor." As soon as Narottam Das heard about the jackal cure, he laughed and said, "Father, do not kill a poor jackal in order to cure me. If you kill a living entity out of affection for me, it will only increase my illness. I am not diseased. I simply want to go to Vrindavan." Then Narottam began to cry. "Dear child, if we do not see you daily, we will drink poison and die," his parents said. "If you continue to speak of leaving us, we will give up our household and become beggars." Narottam Das thought, "I am facing great danger. It seems that I will never be able to see the transcendental land of Vrindavan." From that time, Narottam Das looked for a way to go to Vrindavan. To assure his parents that he had given up his ambition to leave home, he began to act like a gross materialist. In this way, the family lived happily, although at night, Narottam Das continued his plan-making. He felt that if he did not go to Vrindavan, his life was useless. Then one day a messenger arrived with a letter from the local landholder asking Narottam Das to come and see him. His mother was afraid he would leave her and said, "You are like my eyesight. Even if I were offered millions of rupees, I would not let you go." "But if I go, the landlord will certainly be pleased with me," Narottam Das said. "Dear child, how will we survive your leaving to meet the zamindar, landholder? We cannot live without you. Try to return within 10 days, and we will arrange your marriage." Narottam Das assured his mother and then prepared to leave with the zamindar's message. His mother told the messenger, "You are responsible for my son. Take care of him and watch him carefully." She then kissed and embraced Narottam Das with affection. Narottam Das offered his obeisances to his mother and departed. As he walked down the road with the messenger, Narottam Das' hearts filled with joy. That night, Narottam Das could not sleep. He was agitated by thoughts of Lord Nityananda's causeless mercy. When the messenger was asleep, he quietly arose from his bed and left the place, remembering Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Narottam Das walked west, continually looking back to see if anyone was following him. We're almost done. We have just a little more, if you can hang with. Meanwhile, Narottam Das's parents heard that their son had left the zamindar's messenger. Narayani ran out of the house screaming, "Naru, how could you leave me? I will die if I do not see you. I do not know where you have gone. Oh, the Creator has been cruel to me. How will my beloved Naru walk on his soft feet? From whom will he ask food when he is hungry? O Naru, now I understand why you displayed affection when you left with the messenger. I will no longer have any shelter. How could you do this to me? If somebody brings you back to me, I will give him whatever he demands. As Narayani lamented in this way, her relatives gathered and tried to pacify her. We will send people in all 4 directions to look for your Naru. Someone will certainly bring him back. Hundreds of people were then sent to search for Narottam, but after some days they returned without having found him. When the last of them returned, Narayani called out her son's name and then fell unconscious. Many people tried in vain to pacify her. Anyone who hears this pastime of Narottam Das leaving home will certainly become detached from material life. Narottam Das walked on, deeply absorbed in thoughts of Vrindavan and all the dear servants of Lord Chaitanya who were residing there. Absorbed as he was, he sometimes forgot to eat. Where can I see my Lord Gauranga? What will happen to me? What should I do now? Will I ever see Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis? They understand my heart's distress. Waves of ecstatic love continued to flood Narottam Das's heart and mind. One day, as he was sleeping beneath a tree, a golden-complexioned Brahmin boy appeared in his dream and brought him a pot of milk. The boy said, Narottam Das, if you drink this milk, all your fatigue and bodily pain will be removed, and it will be easier for you to go to Vrindavan. Then the young boy placed the pot of milk in front of Narottam Das and left. Then Rupa and Sanatan Goswami appeared and said, Dear Narottam, drink this milk and all your miseries will vanish. Lord Chaitanya has personally given you this milk. Now we brothers have come to see you. Get up and let us go to Vrindavan together. Know for certain that you have been favored by Lord Chaitanya. Narottam Das awoke with a start and cried out in separation from Lord Gauranga, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami. He cried so pitiably that Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis could not tolerate it, and they again appeared before him. When Narottam Das saw the 2 Goswamis standing before him and smelled the sweet aroma of their bodies, his heart was filled with ecstasy. The 2 Goswamis said, Listen, Narottam Das, you have accepted the renounced order of life at a young age. Only one who is personally favored by Lord Gauranga can leave home and accept the renounced order. You are the son of a wealthy man, so you are not familiar with misery. When one renounces his home, he has to suffer a great deal of physical discomfort. For example, one may have to live alone and reside in a cave. Narottam, the Lord has saved a reservoir of love of God for you. Accept that love and inundate the world with it. If you distribute this love of God, even the dog-eaters will be delivered. In the future, you will have thousands of followers who will cultivate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings and themselves attain love of God. The 2 lords, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda, appeared in Bengal and enjoyed many wonderful pastimes while personally distributing love of God. They were so compassionate they delivered even the most sinful persons such as ourselves and empowered us by their causeless mercy. After hearing their words, Narottam Das humbly offered his obeisances and prayers to the 2 brothers, and while doing so he cried and rolled on the ground. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami then placed their lotus feet on his head and departed. I have thus described Narottam Das's journey to Vrindavan, explaining how he received the darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami. I am writing this narration of my spiritual master's order. Anyone who hears these pastimes with faith will certainly attain the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Only a person who is favored by Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis can attain perfection and thus become joyful in spiritual life. Desiring to serve the lotus feet of Sri Chanava and Virachandra, I, Nityananda Das, narrate Prema Vilas. Sri Narottam Das Thakur Prabhu Ki Jai. Thank you all so very much. And should we do bhajan, or I don't know if anyone can play harmonium and things like that. We had a request to do a bhajan. Here, Parm. Can I have that back? So we have a request to do a bhajan. It's in a particular raga. It goes, what's the first line? Well, this is the appearance day, and he was thinking of a different one. Do you know that melody? Gauranga Karuna. Okay, so you can play. And Himanshu has texted everyone the lyrics. So, I hope everyone has a device. I have cartels? Okay, hold on one second. Okay, so before we begin, also, we just reflect how this pastime is ecstatic. It's meant to attract our mind, to help us from this obstacle that we face of material attraction. So, the more seriously we adhere to these prayers and desire this, then the more we'll be protected. So, we'll read the translation first. That way we know what we're singing. Do you guys have it? Everyone got it? Did you send it to those guys? Steve, Krishnam, Jeremy? Okay, I'll read the translation. My dear Lord Gauranga, please show your mercy to this lowly and destitute soul. O Lord, there is no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. Holding grass between my teeth, O Lord Gora, I am calling out to you now. Please be compassionate upon me and come to reside within the temple of my heart. Does someone want to read the next line? Read it loud, and there's no mic. Is there a certain key you want to play in? Okay. Gauranga karuna kara dina hina jane Gauranga karuna kara dina hina jane Patita Prabhu Nahi Tribhuvane Moshama Patita Prabhu Dante Chinna Dari Gora Daki tomare Kripa kari esho amar Hridaya mandire Charinayana karive patita dekiya
Patita Pavana Nama Kishara Lagiya Kishara Lagiya Padechi Bava Tupane Nahi Kanista Shri Charanatharaniyane Dase Kadapada Shri Charanatharaniyane Dase Kadapada Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasaranudasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasaranudasa Shri Kartamana Kare Sara Gauranga Karunakara Dina Hina Gane Samopatita Prabhu Nahi Tribhuvane Jaya Naratamadas 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 Jaya Naratamadas Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Oh, Premanande, Sanatan Das Thakur Mahashaya ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Thai Gaur